Welcome again to the Proper Scoundrels conversational podcast. Welcome in. Hope you're warm. Hope you're safe from all the snow that has gripped the South and thrown us all into chaos.
Man, Snowmageddon 2025 has got off to a hitch, man. They were calling for 3 to 4 inches, no, 3 to 6 inches in my area, and it barely dusted the ground. Got all these
Yeah.
people panicked.
Oh yeah. And I was very excited about it and actually wrote in my journaling exercise like I'm really excited about tomorrow being a snow day. And then I didn't go outside at all.
Did you not?
No, no, it was cold out there. Like even the dogs wouldn't stay outside. They'd go outside, and when I first opened the door, Ned walked out on the deck and was like, "Nope, I don't know what that is. Nope, that's weird. Nope." I had to open the front porch door to let him go out that way, and but yeah, it was just I didn't do anything, and today I had to go get some breakfast food, and all that was there was like white bread, eggs
Oh
were like.
God,
Yeah, and I am not better than all people, but I'm better than white bread.
man, I I left the gym today and I went by the store to grab me some stuff to meal prep, and zero eggs. There was no bread. Um, Couple gallons of like low fat milk. I'm like, God dang, guys. Like, I don't know if it's just from the South or if people experience it up north, but first thing to go is bread and eggs and milk. Like, everybody's got to have it.
Gotta have a milk sandwich, man.
Yeah. I've never had one. I don't plan on having one, but these people must love it during inclement weather.
I think there is absolutely something to eating food that has been tampered with as little as possible.
Yes, 100%.
And yeah, and the book I've been listening to, that's a big thing. It's like keep it simple. Whatever you're putting in or on your body, keep it simple. Keep it as low processed as possible. And so I've just been practicing that, you know, from December on, I guess, preparing for the new year, new me kind of thing. And so if it's, I'm just making small little decisions about the food that I eat and the products that I use. And I'm been big on plastics, getting rid of plastics.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot about that. Like, there's really nothing wrong with plastics unless you heat them.
Yeah.
And I did not know this. I didn't know what was wrong with plastics or why they were bad or how they got bad. And so I started looking into it. And if, you put your leftovers in a plastic container and stick it in the fridge, nothing wrong with that
Yeah.
because it stays plastic and stays hard. It doesn't leach. But if you warm it up, if you warm your food up in that plastic, there's probably going to be some leaching into your food. And, you don't put hot food into it, you don't put it into the microwave or anything like that. So I thought that's interesting. So I did go out and buy some glass bowls with lids and stuff. And so I use that for my lunch now at work.
Well, you got to be careful about that. The only bad thing about that glass, it'll burn the shit out of you. You know, you got to grab that thing. You talked about going to the store. So obviously we've already made the decision that we're going to talk about food and what we're putting in our body today. So let's
Only in the top hole. We're only talking about what we put in the top hole.
get back to it. Like, how do you shop? Like, what do you like? What kind of stuff do you buy? How do you shop, food wise?
Yeah, so it's changed a lot over the past 3, 4 months. I really started paying attention to not just my weight, but my body fat. And one of the big steps I took. It was like, I'm no longer going to buy processed food. I didn't know why. I just kind of knew that's what was making me skinny fat. And so I was like, I'm going to buy foods. I bought an Instapot and I bought an air fryer. And they were, kind of expensive purchases for me, right around $100 a piece. Caught them both on sale. So, and I just started cooking in those. And it has revolutionized my diet, my energy levels, and everything. So typically, I am a perimeter shopper now.
Yes.
There are a few things in the aisles that I get, but predominantly I'm sticking to foods that are the ingredients. So there's no ingredient list, it's the food that I'm buying.
Mm-hmm.
A typical haul for me is going to be grass fed beef. I don't do anything else. If it's not grass fed, I'm not going to buy it. Uh, I think organic chicken means no antibiotics.
Yes.
And because I don't know, it's like, what's the difference between an organic ice cube and an organic chicken? They are what they are.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so organic chicken. Um, I like it when I can find the pasture raised branded chicken, like when it says pasture raised. I don't know why. I just think that's a little bit happier and it makes it my chicken wings taste better. I don't know. But yeah, so then I move on to like the vegetable aisle. And I'm going to tell you, there's not a lot of vegetables that I like repeatedly.
Okay.
So the ones that I do like, that's what I buy and that's what I eat. And that's broccolis, carrots, onions, tomatoes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and like a lot of green beans. I like pinto beans, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like the dry ones. I only like the fresh ones.
Okay.
And that's a lot harder to find. I was at the farmer's market not too long ago, and there was a guy selling speckled pinto beans or
Mm-hmm.
butter beans or something like that. I don't know, but they were freaking delicious. But they were also expensive as hell. I think I paid $10 for like a little bag. Yeah, but
Mm.
fresh food, man, it was good. The fresh food was good. Um, I don't eat a lot of dairy anymore. I don't really keep milk in the house. If I need it for something, like if I like around Thanksgiving and Christmas, I made my banana pudding, which I'm really good at. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I can throw down on some banana pudding. And if I make cornbread, then I'll get buttermilk. And then really the only other dairy I ever have around here is cheese. I know you and I both love our cheeses. I used to eat a lot of granola and yogurt, but I can't find fresh granola without preservatives and just a huge list of ingredients. So I don't do that much anymore, and I don't like granola plain. Lots of eggs. Um, I will eat sausage. I don't know how much that is processed.
Mm.
I mean, it's processed meats, but it's like a guy grinds it up in something and puts it into like an intestine and then cuts it into pretty shapes, and I eat it. Seems legit to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't eat as much bacon as I used to.
Really.
Yeah. It ba- I love bacon. It's one of the best tasting foods, but it is so high in sodiums
Yeah.
that
It really is.
it's just not beneficial to me. Especially now, I'm trying to keep my blood pressure low, trying to keep some other things on a even keel. And so bacon's one of the things I had to let go of. I also hate to waste money on food. And if I buy just the standard 1 pound thing of bacon, I'm probably going to have to throw half of it away.
Really?
Yeah, so if I try not to eat for the first 3 hours I'm awake. So during the week, there's no way for me to have breakfast before I go to work. So I typically end up stopping and getting something on the way in. There's a Cracker Barrel right there at where I work, and so I can get something from them. And there's a bakery in the same little center that I can get some things from. And I typically just go with the sides. I'll get like a side of 2 eggs, and sometimes they throw a biscuit in. I don't ever order one, but I don't really like their biscuits much anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'll get like some couple of eggs and either a pancake or some of their hash brown stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, so I like what you said about perimeter shopping, and just to like explain that a little bit more is like going through the outside walls of your big box stores, like your Walmarts, not really Walmarts, but like your Food Lions, your Sprouts. I don't have that luxury. Ingles does pretty good, I believe. Um, so like your supermarket type stores or your grocery stores going around the perimeter. Because if you think about it, look at your perimeter of the stores. That's where your meats are typically found. That's where your greens are found. Your tomatoes, potatoes, all that fun stuff, right? That's where you find your dairy, and all that. So that's what we're kind of talking about. Because if you look in the aisles itself, there's not much good that's in them aisles, you know. Even the little bars that says protein on the side of it are bad for you. You know, they're really bad for you.
Yeah, if they are sold near the cash register, you can
Yep.
pretty much bet that that's crap.
Yep. 100%. But you know, like I'm not trying to be that guy, but I think that our government allows that. I think that they want an unhealthy society because who's going to like do anything about the government when they overstep? You know, nobody's got the ability to. I think, and plus, like, I think that, I mean, look at the profession we're in currently. You know, like how many healthy people need our services? Not many. You know, so like that's what keeps healthcare in business is the unhealthy. You look at places like Europe, anything over there, Canada, somewhat, but a lot of the stuff isn't allowed over there. You know, they don't have nearly the amount of food and stuff that we have. And they don't have nearly the amount of health problems.
Do you know about the attack on Kellogg's?
No,
So this is really interesting, and I've caught it on a couple of podcasts now. There's a huge movement right now that's being kind of championed by RFK and a couple of other people. And they're starting small. The first thing they want to do is remove Red 40 from the FDA. Like
red 40 and yellow 5.
they want the FDA to put their foot down and to remove artificial petroleum based food coloring from our food supply.
Good for that.
Yeah. And when I first heard that, I was like, what do they mean? And food coloring is typically petroleum based.
Mm,
So it's made out of dinosaurs. And because there is no way in nature to get a consistent color from extracting it from like berry skins or leaves or anything like that. Which is a way you can make food coloring. It's just not consistent. You can't. There's not an ingredient that you can or a combination that you can put together to successfully recreate this color in scale. But petroleum based, you absolutely can. And so that's how you get the red Fruit Loops that look exactly like. That's how you get the greens and the yellows that no matter what you do, you open up a bag of Skittles, all of the reds look alike except that one, and you're like, what happened to it? That one
Yeah.
guy got to be
Yeah.
out there. So yeah, so and uh, the biggest consumer of Red 40 is Kellogg's.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so even when I first heard about this, I was at the store and I went down the cereal aisle, and I was at Walmart. I wasn't at Sprouts. I was at Walmart, and almost all of the Kellogg's brand cereals have colors.
Hmm.
Almost all of the General Mills cereals are bland. They're kind of a brown. There's not much color to them at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought about that unless you said it.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, that's interesting because I was like, I have tons of reasons to pick on Kellogg's, um, but I was like, okay, why is it just Kellogg's? Why are they just after Kellogg's? More people make cereal than just Kellogg's, but most of Kellogg's cereals have some sort of coloring in them, but most of the other cereals do not.
Yeah. So the amount of byproducts that are placed in food is atrocious, and like they've linked that yellow 40 or what is it, yellow red 40, yellow 5. They've linked both of those to like a lot of health problems. Like they're talking that that's how people are getting dementia and things like that because of it. Um, so yeah, I've started before. I really didn't care, like I didn't really get serious about my fitness until the last 5 years. But for the past 2 years, I've kind of paid attention to like what I'm actually consuming, because before it was like if I hit my caloric intake and my proteins, my fats, my carbs, all of those were where they needed to be. I didn't care where it came from, right? So like if I could go down to Little Caesars, buy the lunch pizza, 1,300 calories, I believe it was when was doing that. And it's like, okay, cool. I also got 60 of protein with it. That shit's bad. That's very bad for you. But I noticed a big difference when I transitioned to lean meats, and real foods. So every meal, lunch and dinner, and I normally eat 3 to 4 times a day. It just depends. But I like to snack too, so that's another problem I have. But I always try to get some type of meat, a lean meat, whether it's chicken, beef, or chicken, beef, fish, or like turkey. I like turkey. I try to get some type of like a rice. I like rice a lot. It's easy. And then I also throw like some type of green in there, whether it's broccoli, Brussels sprouts, um, green beans, lettuce, just something that's a green because getting stopped up is not fun because you've got a high protein intake.
You said some interesting things there that I've known forever, and now I'm looking at it differently. And so one of those things is I am not as concerned about my total caloric intake. If I'm hungry, I'll eat something. If I'm not, I won't. So I've done my best to eliminate snacks, but from time to time, I just really want a snack, and it's usually something specific, either something salty or something sweet. And you and I have worked together, so I used to always have some kind of candy around all the time, every day. So I've like emptied out my candy drawer. I don't have candy anymore. Sometimes I do want it, but I just chew a piece of sugarless gum and suffer in silence. But so I have absolutely no clue how many calories I'm eating in a day. I don't even know how many I need. What I do is I focus a lot more on my proteins and my vegetables. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I am not afraid of carbs. I love potatoes. I eat rice a lot. I buy great big bags of rice, and I probably cook it 3 times a week. But I really have been focusing on meats with fat. I don't want a lean cut of meat. I want a meat with some fat and um, vegetables. I want to eat a lot more vegetables, and I want to eat really raw vegetables. Not, I don't know if raw is the same. If raw is what I'm thinking, I like a lot of raw things, but there's some jokes to be made about that. But
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
I was raw dogging. Um, if anybody liked me,
Now they don't.
forever alone. But no, like I used to get a lot of these frozen vegetable packs that had all these seasonings and extra stuff on it, and so I've been trying to avoid that, especially because it has so much sodium. And I'm not afraid of sodium. I put salt on everything, but I put salt on it. I don't want it to come packed in salt. And a lot of, like, even my green beans that I like, the restaurant style green beans, it had, I could eat an entire bag in one sitting with, with one meal. Uh, but each serving of that bag, usually 3 servings in a bag, according to the label, had, almost, I think it was 30 or 45% of your daily sodium intake for
Mm-hmm.
vegetables.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I started eliminating that, and I go more for the just picked, frozen, put in a bag, given to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. So, um, going back to the whole caloric intake, we've got two different goals, though. So like, my goal is like not to be skinny fat because that is the type, right? Um, I can't think of all the different types, but skinny fat was definitely a thing, and that's what I've been like for the past 8 years. Is in that category. But I'm also trying to like build lean muscle, but I'm also trying not to like get fat on top of that and like have a gut and stuff. Because one of the biggest problems I see with people is like, oh, I'm bulking. You hear bodybuilders or people that are going to the gym that's like, I'm bulking. I think that's an excuse to get fat. I think that's the case because nobody's doing a bulk right. It's like a guy we used to work with. He's like, yeah, I'm in my bulking thing. And he would come in with like a big old pack of cookies and he'd eat every one of these Chips Ahoy. And he's like, all right, now it's time to go eat something else. And he was like, just consuming all this trash. And I was like, yeah, you're bulking up, right? Not gaining that muscle mass that you think you're gaining. Um, but like I've got very specific goals. Now lean food, I like lean food better, to be honest. I don't like a lot of fat. So I think that's a personal choice that I've made there. Um, so I like lean meats. And I used to work with this guy that was a personal trainer, and I love a good steak. I love red meat. That's my stuff. And he kind of steered me away from it. So I stick more towards the poultry, fish, turkey, and um, my red meats a couple times a week now.
yeah, my main protein intake. No, sir, get down. No buttholes on the internet. My main protein intake is chicken. It's what I eat the absolute most of, and a lot of it is because the chicken I buy, I can eat. Uh, if I went out and got a well marbled ribeye, there's probably almost a quarter of that I'm not going to eat because it's fat. I'm
Hmm.
I'm not going to eat the gristle. So uh, for me, it's a better value in my head. Now, when it comes to proteins, uh, it's really hard to get a bulking level of protein. And you think even if you're just getting, I think the recommended daily dose for an adult male is zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram, and that. So a 220-pound man is going to be 100 kilograms. So um, zero point 0.8, that's going to be 80 grams of protein. A can of chicken or a can of tuna, which is chicken of the sea, it's got 25 grams of protein. Now, if you're eating that much protein, can you eat 4 cans of tuna in a day? Can I could probably eat 4 chicken breasts a day, which would get me up there, but I'd probably get tired of eating chicken at that point and need something else. But the body can only absorb so much protein in a day without throwing your ketones into a fit.
Well, that's why
So,
you can drink water.
oh, it's more complicated than that.
Well, no, really, so your kidneys have got to excrete the protein, right? And you've got to drink enough water to properly filter that through. That's why if you're taking creatine or anything like that, you got to be drinking water to let those kidneys work. But at the same time, like you can only digest so much protein too, you know? Like my
Yeah,
meals, I try to make my meals about 40 grams of protein a meal. And then I'll have a snack of something that's protein. Like I like yogurt. I like protein yogurt. I like beef jerky. I like those two as far as snacks, just to help like kind of buffer that out. Uh, and especially like in my line of service, like yesterday, I left for a call at 10 o'clock. I didn't get back till 3, you know? So like my lunch was halfway shot, but old QT saved the day.
I
And
love the QT.
yeah, but you got to be smart when you go there. It's not that big of a deal. You can get some decent stuff there. It's harder to find, but you can get some stuff. Um, but back to that. So I try to break my meals up, and I use 1 gram of protein per pound. So I've got to get 180 grams of protein in there. Now, when I'm bulking, like I try to stay at 2,200 calories. That's where I'm at right now. That's to help lose, but gain just a little bit of muscle, but also lose some of that body fat. But once that body fat's at a certain point, my muscle gains ain't going to go up anymore. I'm just going to be kind of there. And, but like when I bulk, I bring my calories up to 2,500, 3,000, somewhere in there. My protein stays the same. Now I've just got to consume other things, just to get more calories in.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's a great practice. And I think the practice of counting the calories or counting the macros is good for anybody, because I think once you start paying attention to what you're putting into your body, that it'll start to change. It did for me. I've always known that Snickers bars are not the most ideal breakfast, but they were super convenient and like $1. So,
Yeah.
now they're like $3.
Hmm.
So I'm cheap. I don't buy them anymore. But and for a long time, Snickers bar was like the protein bar of choice for a lot of athletes, especially endurance athletes.
CrossFitters, they're still doing that because they need glucose to go through their workouts. Because their workouts like 3-4 hours long.
Bless their dumb hearts. Well, the new CrossFit now is High Rocks. So I think after they killed that man in the pond, that everybody was like, no, we're not going to do CrossFit anymore. I think we're going to jump on this other brand of ridiculous exercise.
Look, I used to work with this guy that was like big into CrossFit, and like that dude was on like just a stud. Like he was doing my maxes for reps. I mean, he was just but he was very focused. His nutrition was dialed in. He was working out. He was resting. He was taking care of his body. Like, dude's an absolute stud. He's a fireman now, but God, he's an absolute stud. So I think there is some merit to the CrossFit style. I mean, a lot of the tier one athletes, we'll call them. I think they benefit a lot from CrossFit. I don't like CrossFit. I don't do CrossFit. Um,
So there's
no,
an interesting study that's happening or has happened. It was quoted by Max Lugavere. I am going to say his name correctly this year. Lugavere. He's not a larvae. He's a Lugavere. He quoted a study, and I can go back and find it if anybody's like want me to cite sources or anything. Uh, but your exercise of choice is about 10% of your body makeup, and about 60% of your body makeup is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
mm,
And I've heard about this. I've read about this. Um, I'm not an expert on anything. I have wrecked this body in the past 50 some odd years. And so, but somehow it keeps going. I must have been made by Honda. But so I can tell you that it makes really good sense. So if you lead a really sedentary lifestyle, then more exercise is going to be required to get to that health level, and way more to get to that elite level. If you are, a roofer, working in construction, something where you're constantly moving and your food is balanced well, then the amount of exercise that you're going to have to do to look fantastic is really low. It's still there. It doesn't go away. You still need to exercise. There's something very therapeutic and healthful about structured exercise programs. But it's really interesting. I had a friend a couple years ago, and this dude was a professional natural bodybuilder, and he was bulking, and he like we were on a hike, and he was in his bulking phase. Homeboy pulled out a bag of dried oats. I cannot speak today. And shoved them in his mouth and chomped down. And
good for him.
oh yeah. And look, and he was a man on a mission. He said he wanted to win, and he did. He won his little bodybuilding show, and that's how he did it. He knew exactly how many calories he needed, and he did it. He did not bulk on any Cheetos. A girl we used to work with, she did that. I don't know if you got to see the pictures of her bodybuilding show, but she did absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, she did. I don't think she's competing anymore, is she?
I don't know, but she still looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember while she was getting prepared for that, the strict dietary way that she did everything. And um, it's all about a balance, though. She wanted to be that elite bodybuilder, and she did. And my other friend, we'll call him Steve, call him Super Steve. But he was an elite bodybuilder, and he won natural bodybuilding shows. So I can say he was an elite bodybuilder. At the time, I was doing a flavor of CrossFit, and they made the comment in the CrossFit gym that a bodybuilder could never do as many pull-ups as a CrossFitter. And I was intrigued by this because I was like, well, I think Super Steve could. And they were like, no, Super Steve cannot. So I invited Super Steve to come to the gym, and he did strict body controlled pull ups and beat 3 other CrossFit Games competitors.
Yeah, and one thing that the CrossFit guys do, like their pull-ups, that's y'all's homework for the night, the viewers. Go look at CrossFit pull-ups because they're not strict. We think of a pull-up as like you've got the bar, you're doing a dead hang, and then you come straight up, chin over the bar, and then you lower yourself back down till your arms are extended. That's one pull-up. Those dudes look like they're doing a circle on the bar. It's very interesting. It's cool to watch. I couldn't do it, but it's cool to watch.
There is a video that I used to love called Kipping Everything. And if I find it, I'll link it somewhere. I'll figure out how to put it somewhere. Uh, it's from the early days of CrossFit, and hilarious. So in the CrossFit world, the mentality is if you do the reps, does the form really matter? So if you can cheat a rep, but you still get it from here to here, does it matter that you used momentum? You built the momentum. So the momentum still came from you. So does it matter? So I will tell you that the healthy people that I see in the outpatient clinic frequently have injuries from poor execution of exercise.
Really?
A lot of them. And and it's not just CrossFit. I'll pick on them plenty. Just tell me to go. I'll make CrossFit jokes for hours on end. But I don't know if you know this about football players. On the field, those dudes are solid. You get them to step off a curve.
Yeah.
Those ankles turn into glass, man. I have known more football, like American footballers, that have significant low joint injuries, not from playing football, but from like stepping on a stair wrong, or
Yeah.
a lot of them stepping off a curb. And it's like, how can you be so strong to play such physical game, but you can't like exist in regular life? Yeah. You don't have your ankles taped and your pads on. As soon as you look at something scary, something dislocates or tears, or it's like, how does that happen? And it's because there's no balance. They're training for one specific thing, and that thing is absolutely their life. I'm not picking on footballers. I like footballers. I don't like CrossFitters as much. But I can't say that. There's a couple that I like. I'm team Noah Olson.
Who?
Noah Olson. He's a big
I don't know
CrossFitter.
that one.
He's up there in the same arena as Rich Froning and uh, hard work pays off guy. Name a
I'm not
CrossFitter.
sure. I don't know many of them. I don't watch CrossFit.
You would know this guy if I could figure out his name, because he's a beast, and you've seen him in a bunch of different places.
Hmm.
But HWPO is his company, and you'll see those T-shirts in the gym, and you'll see it tagged on a lot of different things. Um, but yeah, it's all about balance, and food is about balance as well. Because I can eat really strict for a week. I mean, I can eat super clean, super strict for a week, and then I'm just going to have a blowout.
Yeah. And my wife, she was using this trainer at one point because that's what she needs. She likes having structure, like she likes having somebody tell her what to do. But it wasn't a cheat day. It was a singular cheat meal, right? But you had to work for that cheat meal. So we're going to say Sunday was her cheat day or cheat meal day. And she is going to work hard. She's going to do the right thing up until Sunday. So, right, we're trying to get to Sunday. We're looking forward to Sunday. When Sunday gets here, it is a day of rest. Like we're going to go do like maybe let's walk for 20 minutes. That's what we're going to do on Sunday. Or very easy, ride the bike for 20 minutes. Not do nothing crazy. But you have that one meal. You have three options. You can do a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But the rest of the day, we've got to continue on with our plan. So, like, we're going to eat a decent lunch, low carb, low calorie, whatever you want to do with it. But for that one meal, you can kind of do what you want to. But it's got to last for that meal. And when that meal is over with, you got your wild spell out of you. Then you go back to work and it's back to business.
Yeah, I think we all have practiced that at some point in times with um, different levels of success. I know I have. So if I ever talk about we all have, I'm really talking about me. I have, or I've seen other people that have. Um, I remember being early in the CrossFit gym and uh, going headlong into it because that's what I do. If I'm in on something, I'm in,
Yeah.
and I'll devote to it. And so I'd gone on the paleo diet, and I'm going to tell you, it messed with my hormones. I was angry. I was unhappy. I felt like crap all the time. And this is not in the transition phase where your body kind of adapts. No, I was about a month in.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I was in on it, and I had been real strict, not eating anything that wasn't paleo. And I broke down one day, and I was crying, and I wasn't not about nothing. I was just like really upset, and so I was crying, and I um, went to the store, went to Publix, and I bought some Lucky Charms and some milk and some. I had chocolate chip cookies also, but I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm done, and I'm gonna murder it. I'm gonna murder it all. And so I sat there and I ate my Lucky Charms and I ate a couple of cookies. And when I was talking to my friends about it, they were like, "But that's not paleo." I was like, "I promise you, without any hesitation and without any scientific backing, that if a Paleolithic man was walking through the forest and found a bowl of Cheerios or Lucky Charms and some cookies and some milk, he'd eat that." He would
Like,
totally eat that.
the keto people. You ever heard of the keto flu? That's a real thing, my friend. You know, um, they get super sick, but it lasts for a week. Once you get past that 7 days on the start of that new diet, you're normally good. But you got to get there first. Like they'll get super sick, they'll feel bad, they'll feel like they've got the flu, and then when it breaks, you're there. But a problem I have with keto is whenever you stop that diet, your weight goes back up because your body doesn't know how to act.
It's all hormone regulation. So the endocrine system has to be in agreement to what's going on. Because if it's not, it's going to go slap crazy. There's a lot of research right now, and I've heard it from Jeff Nippard, from Max Lugavere. Said it right that time. I'll give myself a point.
Hey.
I've heard it from a host of different uh, sources that very close to your workout session, you should probably have something that's a little bit sweeter so that it will kick your insulin into gear.
Mm,
And that way your insulin will keep up with your sugar so your body can burn fat. And
yeah.
I am probably quoting that horribly wrong because it it's I've never been good with insulin in the body, but I know that if you have too much insulin, you will have a lot more fat because the body is going to go into starvation mode for that sugar, and it's going to store it in fat where insulin can't get to it. So it's a lot like fentanyl.
Yeah, so like if you look at bodybuilders and stuff, some of the things that they'll do, and it varies. Some of them have their things that they want to do. There's this dude, I can't think of his first name, but on Instagram, he's called Z Monster. Uh, Dude's a wealth of information. Okay, but one of the things he does is before his workouts, he eats like four Reese cups, like two little packets of Reese cup, like the big king size one, and that's what he does because that's his sugar. That's something sweet. It's got some protein in there, whether you like it or not. Reese's does have some protein, and it just kind of checks all the boxes. But it's a simple sugar, so it's going to make your stuff spike. It's also a carb. It's got some carbs in there to where it'll help kind of sustain you through the longevity of your workout. Some people like Rice Krispie cakes. They're fine. You can make those yourself if you want to. Um, some people do that. Some people do the Haribo gummy bears. I like some of those. Uh, I'll work out with people and I'll see them pull out of their gym bag some gummy bears or Reese cups, and they'll just like kind of eat it real quick so nobody judges them. I know exactly what they're doing. They're dialing in. That's exactly what they're doing, and I appreciate it. You know. Um, but yeah, before your workout, you have to have something to sustain you. There's a bodybuilder I work out with, or he kind of runs the gym I go to. But when he comes in there, he buys two breakfast pizzas from the QT and he eats those on the way in. And he's got like 4% body fat. Like he is incredible. I think he let himself go. I think he's up to 5 right now. Um, but
I
yeah, he
don't
can let himself go.
I don't think that low body fat is healthy.
He's a bodybuilder, so he's prepping for a competition.
Yeah.
That's why
I
he's maintaining that.
I don't think that's healthy at all. And I'm not judging, not saying. I've known my friend Super Steve. He was probably down to the day of his show. I think he was probably at like 3%. He was
Mhm.
very grainy. Like you could it see, it was not aesthetic. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
Um, but it also long term, there's nothing healthy about that. I think the most popular healthy body fat is 12 to 15 now.
yeah, I wouldn't mind less than that, to be honest with you. Like, I don't like having a gut, and I was at 14% last time I got measured and taped, and I don't know, I didn't like the way I looked, so I'm trying to be sub like 10. I think that's where I'd like to be at. But
Yeah,
like I'm also like I'm now getting into a little bit better shape than like as far as my looks, and I kind of like where I'm getting to, so I'm pretty happy where I'm at. But um, a lot of that was cutting out alcohol completely. Like 2 months now, I don't think I've had a drink, and I wasn't drinking every night, but it was a couple times a week, and just that change um helped out tremendously. And then like watching my calories. Um I'll I'll try to send you a link. But it's like there was a nutrition store that I was going to. It was the nutrition store. I've got no affiliation with them whatsoever. That's
On
my
the one on number 9.
yeah.
Love those guys.
Yeah. So they've got a couple stores. They also have an online shop, but they have a free macro calculator. You can kind of put in like um, your sex, your age, your activity level, and it'll kind of give you a generic calorie count to go off of if you're interested in it. And that's just for anybody, and it's free. They're not getting paid any money for that. Again, I've got no affiliation with them whatsoever, but it's just a little tool that I used that made me happy. That's where I got my um, caloric intake from. And but some people like you said, you don't have to monitor it. You can just make better choices.
I think that's one of the more important things is making the best food choices that you possibly can. Let's wind it up because I'm ready for some Whole Foods. I'm going to put them in my top hole. And I got to make some chicken tonight, man. I'm hungry.
Yeah, that's what we're having to.
Yeah. So we would encourage everybody to think about what's right in your life. Move a little bit more, understand what NEAT is, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. If you are pretty sedentary, you probably need to move more, probably need to focus more on those workouts. If you're constantly moving, still need to work out, drink more water, change your socks.
Yes, and perimeter shop. Don't go down the aisles.
Everyone have a great night. Stay warm, stay full on Whole Foods. Any parting words of wisdom?
As one of the great fitness influencers would say, swallows the goal, size the prize. It's gains o'clock, motherfuckers. Let's go.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.